Hello, people. I am Jaby Kuwait, joined by my old friend Vlad Rimburg. You and I go way, way, way back. Do you know this story?
I think you should tell it.
Okay. So, well, first off, before we jump into it, you were the fight coordinator or the fight choreographer, the fight designer, action designer on...
Minnal Murali, yes.
Okay.
I was the action director and the designer.
Okay.
I had a team with me here in Los Angeles where we prepped a couple of the scenes, and then I flew to India by myself, and here it is, releasing December 24th.
How many times have you been to India?
My first time to India was in 2014 for a project called Brothers.
Who was the star of that? Do you remember?
Akshay Kumar and Sidharth Malhotra.
No way! That was
Yes,
you? The
yes.
UFC fights? That was you?
I was the action director.
Oh,
and-
shit!
Yes.
Okay.
We had a team with us. It was Justin Yu, Michael Lair, Eric Brown.
Okay.
We also had Daniel Bernhard with us.
Michael Lair was fairly new at that time?
Yes, fairly new.
Because I remember when he first came on the scene, like some people were excited about him because he did this like poolside fight scene and then like this fight scene where he's breaking apart his bathroom and stuff. And like people just got excited about his like action design and whatnot. And I guess you recruited him, or I don't know who recruited him first.
I'm not sure who recruited him. I know he worked in the indie scene for quite some time.
Yeah.
But he worked with us and then he took off. And
Okay.
he recently, just last night, won an award for Best Fight because he was a fight coordinator on Extraction.
Oh, shit.
And his
Okay.
team won that award with
It's such
yeah.
a tiny world. The stunt community is so small. Okay, so let's take this way back like over 10 years ago. It was like 16 years ago when I met you.
Yes.
Wow, This is crazy. Okay, so what happened was you and I had a mutual friend named Joe Eric. And Joe Eric had a friend named Brandon who was like the guy who did all the Friars Club. Like he was a promoter. He was a club promoter, and he wanted to do a fight scene. Joe Eric hit you up to do the action design. And he hit me up because I had at the time, the cutting edge camera, the Panasonic DVX 24p.
Yes.
And you came, and if you don't mind me saying, you brought your girlfriend at the time along. I don't know if it's a different lady, right?
Different lady.
Okay, just
'Cause
making sure.
there's a continuation to the India story, which we'll get back to.
Okay. So the thing was, I didn't know who you were, but you had like this intimidating kind of presence about you. You're a big dude. And so I was just like, okay, who's this guy? And I kept to myself. But I knew that I identified with you when what happened was your girlfriend did like a backflip onto her chest. What is that called?
The three-quarter backfall?
Three-quarter backfall. And you're like, that's my girlfriend. And you were so proud. I'm like, this is a man after my heart. Like, I get this guy. I don't know if it's like a choreographer thing or a director thing or a martial arts thing, but it's like something where we want to imprint onto our girlfriend some kind of knowledge. And then we get really happy when they do it. And so that's when I knew, I'm like, oh, this is my dude right here.
Ideally, we want to be with a person that kind of shares the same
Passion
as we do, yes.
Yeah,
and at that
exactly.
time, that's what I thought would be the best thing for me. Yeah.
I can hear experience in that sentence.
Yes.
And so what happened was that was like a 2-day experience of shooting in the hills. It was fun. I had a really good time hanging out with you for those 2 days, and then I hadn't seen you again up until today.
Yes.
And it's like we kept like we're like in proximity of each other. Like you were working with Pepe, and I remember you working at one point with Stephen Reedy, and like doing all kinds of cool, crazy stuff. I'm like, oh my God, Vlad, and then. Now you're working on Indian movies, which is crazy. And like, I've got his IMDb in front of me.
Wonderful.
I just want to read this out real quick, and then you can tell me the rest of that story. Born in Belarus, Vlad Rimburg immigrated to the U.S. at the age of 6 with his family and was raised in Los Angeles. It was during Vlad's competitive martial arts days that he received a high 8 camcorder. Oh my God, this is like my own history. During this time, Vlad was influenced by Jackie Chan, Sammo Hung, and the indie stunt group Zero Gravity, and used the camera as a tool to start filming his own fight scenes. Vlad Rimburg brings storytelling to his action scenes to give the audience a dynamic experience that'll make them want to hit the repeat button. Go ahead. What was the rest of that story?
The India story. So after my first job in India, I said, I hate this place. I'm never coming back.
Wow.
A year and 11 days later, I get married in India to an Indian girl.
What?
Yes. So I have spent a decent amount of time in India. I've traveled through 14 states.
What was it about India that you didn't like? And then like, how did that shift? This feels like there's a lot to unpack here.
The short version is I felt like I got screwed out of the recognition for the movie.
Oh, okay.
Brothers.
Okay.
The movie doesn't recognize me as the action director.
Okay, gotcha.
You know, the credit's given to some other people. And I was like, oh, interesting.
Oh, wow.
I was overworked. I was doing 3 jobs at once. I was action directing. I was in front of the camera as a referee.
Okay.
And then I was also going upstairs to edit with the editor.
Hold on.
Yes, I was the referee in the second half of the movie of Brothers.
Hold up. That's you in the ring?
That's me in the ring. Hell yeah.
Oh my God, that is you. What the hell?
I announce everyone, and you're going to see me do an epic knee slide and get Akshay off of Ron. And I have dialogue in the movie as well. The tough part was action directing and being in front of the camera at the same time. I'm not really performing. I'm watching the actors perform, but I have to look like I'm busy and being a referee at the same time.
Oh man, that's intense.
Yeah.
It's like directing and acting at the same time in a way, yeah.
Yes, which I'm not used to. I can direct and perform, but I can't direct and act.
Oh yeah, totally.
Working in Indian cinema though allowed me to evolve as a filmmaker because there's so much more detail to story.
Okay, how do you mean?
Well, when we were designing the action sequences for Brother, Sidharth Malhotra, the director of the movie, came down and he said, the choreography is great. The only problem is the camera work doesn't give the audience an understanding of what's happening. It's great camera work, but for example, if we're gonna go ahead and show an armbar to Indian cinema for the first time, Indian audience, we want to go ahead and track with that arm being held in place and the hips pushing up. We want to tell the story behind the movement. And I also learned about putting in a lot of story elements and beats for something like an MMA movie, right? And where to put them so that way the story progresses. We designed the action sequences without ever thinking about intercutting to audience reactions, father reaction, wife reaction, none of that.
Yeah.
So it was like one fluid 10-minute fight, 3 rounds.
Yeah.
So again, working in Indian cinema, I learned more about storytelling than anywhere else that I worked.
That makes a lot of sense. I mean, that's just practical knowledge just for filmmaking in general, because we see that all the time. Like Achar and I earlier today were watching Destin Daniel Cretton going over the fight sequence from Shang-Chi, kind of breaking down all the different elements, and the cutaways and whatnot are very crucial for your average audience because it keeps them kind of engaged with the fight. Because if it's just fight, you're just looking at the raid.
Yes.
You know, as opposed.
Thank you. Thank you. Someone understands. Yes.
Well, go ahead, expand on that. What do you mean by that?
Nowadays, I like to talk about choreography as an evolved art form, just like everything else has evolved. As an audience, we want things to be smarter.
Yeah.
So if you take a look at a movie like John Wick is exactly like Commando.
Okay.
In the sense that it's one guy taking out hundreds of people.
You're talking about Commando, the Indian movie?
Commando,
the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie.
Arnold Schwarzenegger movie.
Gotcha.
Any 80s American action film has one hero killing hundreds, if not thousands of guys. John Wick does that, but in a much smarter way.
Okay.
So choreography needs to be told in a much smarter way. Otherwise, we're just watching what it is we saw in the 80s, and we're not duplicating it the right way.
Right.
The Raid, for anyone that loves to just watch choreography, that's great.
Yeah.
But if you want story elements, if you want meaning to the fight, you have to give it a break. You have to punch in. You have to let the actors give their emotions in that scene. That's what I learned that Korean cinema did so well in the mid-2000s, and I think a lot of other action cinema took from that because they would give those breaks and beats where you're like, oh man, this guy's really messed up, and you see it in the acting and you begin to feel it. Whereas in the Raid, it's like ba 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 ba,
yeah,
ba 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 ba. You know, it's fun choreography, but I don't know how well it helps progress the story.
Do you have any idea how much I've been chastised and ridiculed for not appreciating that movie more, for criticizing it hard? It's like I've gotten so much shit because I'm like, that movie is just it's just one beat. It's just one beat. It's not Hong Kong. It's just one beat over and over again. I'm like, there's no rhythm to it. And I got so frustrated. I tried to explain it to people like, oh, you're stupid. Like, you're just too critical. I'm like,
you're absolutely right. It's one rhythm. Hong Kong creates several different kinds of rhythms. And what happens is, you know, it's some kind of a beat and then there's a big payoff. And people don't seem to understand that Hong Kong is essentially the ballet of choreography. It's the original art form of fight scenes, even though we can argue Charlie Chaplin and Buster Keaton. But everyone always looks back to Hong Kong cinema.
Yeah.
Even with Tony Jaa, when you looked at Ong Bak, it was essentially Hong Kong cinema in the sense of it was just big movements. It was a payoff. And it was getting very redundant and very boring in that sense. Hell yeah, I'm down to watch Tony elbow some guys, but if you don't build up to it, I'm like, he's going to elbow that one and that one and that one and that one. The same thing happens when you're talking about rhythms. You have to know how to break it up. What people don't seem to understand, and I'm not taking anything away from the director, Gareth Evans is a beautiful visionary director. He's got great ideas. He's a wonderful fight coordinator. But that was essentially his second movie. Because it was so violent, that's what got him recognized and noticed.
Yes.
Because of the violence factor. Because if you look at the choreography, that was really the second time anyone's choreographing anything. Maybe third,
Okay.
fourth, or fifth. That's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Right? That's in our world, it's still kind of amateurish, but they had that one element of just hyper
Sheer violence. Yeah, sheer
violence.
Yeah.
And it worked quite well, and the audiences reacted quite well to it. For anyone that really dissects action sequences,
yeah.
I think you and I are on the same page,
Yes.
and we both agree that it's just like, in a way, kind of like
It got boring after a
it
while.
got boring.
Yeah.
The first 45 minutes were great because there was story being told with everything leading up to the chaos and the mayhem.
Yeah.
But once the choreography started, again, it just got a little bit redundant. Just so everyone knows,
Yeah.
they threw a front kick, round kick 7 times.
Yeah.
Meaning block the front kick, catch the round kick, grab the guy by the shirt,
Yeah.
and then spin and throw him 7 times.
So the same move over and over.
The same move over and over. Now I can argue that, we do the same thing, but we find a rhythm, we find a unique way of presenting it. Because at the end of the day, a front kick's a front kick. So it's like, I'm not really stealing anything, I'm stealing a move.
Yeah.
Right? But the rhythm that I create with those movements is what makes it fun and exciting and unique.
Yeah.
And just so everyone understands, I just wasn't a fan of the rhythm that the raid had.
Yeah, you want ebb and flow that it didn't present.
Yes.
What I try to compare it to for people who like long fight scenes with like visceral violence is Flashpoint.
Yes.
Where I'm like, that is a fight scene that is visceral. It's got, this fluidity to it. It's got ebb and flow and it changes. There's a story to it. Whereas in the raid, it's just like nonstop violence.
Yes.
And I have a hard time communicating that. But you took that and made your own raid-ish fight scene at one point from the Raid 2, right?
Yes, I actually made it just from watching the trailer before the movie came out.
Okay, and you used the Hammer Girl.
Correct, yes.
Okay, what was that about? Because I think a lot of people in my audience haven't seen that short film. Or if they have, they don't know it's you.
I had a friend staying over my place, Tony Chu.
Okay.
Amazing DOP photographer, and we were looking
Oh, he
to
shoots
shoot
everyone's photos, right?
Yes,
Okay,
yes,
because I
yes.
saw on like some people's Facebook, everyone's got the same Tony Chu headshot. I'm like, what the hell is this? How come he's not taking my photos? Anyway, go ahead.
Tony, come down. We found out that we had some free time to go ahead and shoot something.
Okay.
And there's a gentleman by the name of Lee B. Golden
Okay.
who runs filmcombatsyndicate.com.
Okay.
Hell yeah, Lee. He suggested the idea that I do a Hammer Girl fight scene. So Tony and I thought about it, and I think we were just sitting in my car for about an hour and a half talking, and we decided to go ahead and start shooting maybe 3-4 days later.
Okay.
And we had one day to shoot it, pieced it all together, and I released it on the day the Raid 2 premiered in Los Angeles.
Oh, shit.
And on that day, I met Gareth Evans, thanks to Larnell and Eco.
Okay.
Because Larnell had called me out to go to the premiere in Los Angeles, and Tony and I purposely tried to make this short in time for the premiere.
Okay.
The response was great.
Yeah.
Gareth loved it. One of the producers, Todd Brown, loved it as
Okay.
well. He put it up on Twitch Film back when it was up and running.
For those of you guys who don't know, Larnell is I guess he's a fight designer as well.
Yes,
he's a
he-
former stunt guy.
He's a former stunt guy, second unit director, and he's directed some episodes on Titans.
Okay. I worked with Larnell once when he was trying to do previs at Gymnastics Olympica for Batman because there was talk about a Batman movie and he wanted to be the choreographer for it. So him and what's his name? He doubled Daredevil.
Chris Brewster?
Chris Brewster.
Yes.
Chris Brewster was like the Batman in the fight scene. And it was this crazy epic fight that I'm like, if this makes it into the Batman movie, it will be fucking epic. And of course it didn't. But it was a beautiful fight that he designed that I was helping to shoot. I was just camera, but it was still cool to see, to be part of. Yeah, him and I go way back. I've known him for like 15, 16 years as well. Okay, so what happened with that? The raid fight scene that you did? It got a lot of traction. It was super violent.
So, as violent as we could make it in a day's time.
Yeah.
I think it's got around like 8.5 million views.
Jesus.
Not
okay.
bad. Yeah.
Of all the people that I've ever encountered in this industry, you are the most hardcore and devout Jackie Chan lover that I know. In terms of like what you try to present, in terms of the music, in terms of the style, it's like that is the closest I have seen in terms of anyone in my circle that like achieves Hong Kong cinema in America.
I think it's just all the passion that I have for Hong Kong cinema.
Okay.
My goal is to make sure that martial arts action cinema keeps evolving and stays alive. It never dies down.
Okay.
I feel like I can maybe achieve that through Indian cinema.
Yeah. It's so funny you say that because like I feel like Indian cinema is actually more willing to experiment, and I'm coming from not just the action angle but like all angles, looking at the stories they do. I don't know how big of a fan of just Indian cinema you are, but if you look at their movies, it's like there are stories being told that we would never find here that are popular, that are big. like, you know, we used to have stuff like The Firm, right? Tom Cruise doing a court movie or A Few Good Men. It's like we don't have that anymore. Everything's Marvel, which is fine. I'm a Marvel fan, but we used to have good drama that was actually popular, and India is still doing that. And so I look at India as like the next frontier of cinema that is going to like show the world like, yo, you can still tell interesting stories. It doesn't have to just be Marvel, Marvel, Marvel. But like for you, how do you see that like evolving? What is it that you're trying to bring to global cinema through Indian cinema?
Well, in India and in the East, the term action director is a lot more respected than it is over here.
Okay.
As a second unit director, you only have so much control over the final product, whereas in India, there's significantly more control.
Okay.
I'll choose the camera angles. I'll have the majority say over the edit. And you get to work with the director as well. Not like you're not working underneath. So the title of the action director is very, very, very well respected.
Oh, cool.
You are the boss man.
Okay.
Many times the director just sits down and you run the set.
Oh, wow.
Which is nice because what you're essentially trying to do is get your final product out there.
Okay.
Through Indian cinema, I feel like I'm able to get the closest final product I can.
Okay.
And when I say that, I mean, if I were to go ahead and shoot something of my own, that's my final product.
Yeah.
And working in India, that is the closest I can do to that creatively.
Okay.
Many times, the way it works in the States is you'll create a previs, and then on the day, the DP and the director will want to shoot everything their way. Not a lot of control per se when it comes to action in the States.
Gotcha.
I mean, here, look at Iron Fist season 1.
Yeah.
Okay? Iron Fist season 1.
Yeah.
And I talk about it a significant amount of times because I want people to know it's not the action team. It's not the action team.
Yeah.
There are a lot of factors involved.
Yeah.
Camera operators, the DP, the edit room, you know, everything.
Yeah.
Everything. There's only so much that we can do. And every time we go in, we give it everything we got. And we hope that production realizes that, hey, if we just follow this format, we can make our day, we can save a lot of money, and it's going to look great.
Cool.
And I'm very thankful to Lucifer for following the format for several seasons.
Gotcha.
For that. I recently came back from Minnal Murali. That was the formula that we used for the final fight.
Okay.
We prepped it over here in the States, and then we laid it on the timeline. And as we were getting our shots, we were slowly filling in the timeline with actual footage, and almost all the previs footage was gone.
That's dope.
And I think that's a smart way of doing it. If everyone is happy with the previs, why not follow the previs? I've had so many producers in post-production tell me on the day, how come we're not following the previs? How come we're not following the previs?
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So it makes sense.
I think we're getting closer to that. It's just a slow evolution. Achar and I went to attend this, I forgot what it's called, but it's like a meet for industry people. And the reason I went was because it was the editor for Kingsman 2. And he was talking about like the action sequences, how he put it together. And I was like, how much prep is involved in each of these fight scenes? I'm just curious because they look cool. And he's like, there's a ton of prep, and it has to do with the action team showing us how the shots should be, and the director looking at it and like basically is like almost shot for shot from the storyboard. So it is getting there slowly, but not at the speed of like India's willingness to be like, that looks cool, let's do that, and just going with it because it looks amazing. And so I want to backtrack a little bit because you said you're married to an Indian lady. How did you meet her? Where did this come up? Like, this is so fascinating to me.
It's a crazy, beautiful story, but to cut it short, I met some people in the hotel I was staying while we were working on Sultan.
You were working on Sultan?
Yes.
You did that movie?
I was the assistant stunt coordinator.
Oh,
and
shit.
one of the designers for it, yes.
That was one of the first Indian films I watched, actually. Well, not one of the first, but like, it was the first proper Salman Khan film that I watched in theaters, I think.
Hell yeah.
And so I actually really appreciated that film in terms of the action and whatnot.
Oh yeah, we had plenty of time. We prepped the finale, then we got notes from Ali. We redid it. We had 26 days scheduled with Salman Khan to train him. So we were prepped, as prepped as we could possibly be, and we were ready to go.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
What was it like training Salman?
Oh, it was wonderful. It was wonderful. The guy's a super hard worker, and he wanted to learn anything and everything. We had our trainer, our wrestling coach, our jiu-jitsu coach, same person. But when Salman Khan would see me throw kicks, he's like, I want to kick with that guy. I want to kick with that guy. So it was a lot of fun.
So essentially, that's kind of where you might have met your wife.
I met some people while working on Sultan, and then they invited me to go hang out with them in Goa.
Oh wow. Okay.
So I went to Goa.
Okay, gotcha.
And then I saw this girl who seemed to be the life of the party.
Okay.
And I'm like, I want to get to know her.
Oh shit.
And through a series of events, I got to know her.
Okay.
And I was traveling and she was traveling and we would get together.
Yeah.
And then
that's awesome, dude.
yeah,
That's crazy.
and then we got married like 4 or 5 months later because I wanted to make sure I never lost her.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just to backtrack even further, how did you get hooked up with your first Indian film ever?
Larnell Soval, he brought me on board for Brothers. We were prepping that in Los Angeles.
Okay, and then from there, they saw your work, and that's how you got attached to Sultan?
Larnell was contacted for Sultan by the second AD, Yash. He contacted Larnell, and at that point, Larnell and I had been working on several projects together.
Okay, gotcha.
And Emmanuel Manzanares also came on board. So that's how we got partnered up, was through Larnell, just the history.
Okay.
And then he needed me out with him in India.
Okay.
So I flew out. We had a 4-man team for that.
When did you first work with Larnell?
He might not remember it, but I worked with him in like 2008, 2009.
Okay.
Sam Hargrave got contacted to...
Sam Hargrave, who directed the first Extraction, or both Extractions.
Sam Hargrave, the director of Extraction.
Yeah, and he's also doubled Captain America at one point.
Yes,
something
yes.
Like that? Okay, yeah.
Sam Hargrave is one of the most amazing performers there are, period.
Gotcha.
He's got everything.
Yeah.
He can perform. He's tall. He's great looking. Right? He can direct.
He's got a fucking beard.
He's got a beard. He's got camera angles.
Yeah.
He's the ultimate threat, and the ultimate quote, like success version, or someone that can succeed quite well.
Yeah.
Because he's got everything checked off.
Yeah.
So he's a wonderful performer. But Sam Hargrave, I said he was reached out to. He actually auditioned for a movie called Acts of Violence. They saw his reel and they brought him on board to be the stunt coordinator.
Okay.
He brought me out to be the choreographer.
Okay.
And that's where I met Larnell the first time, was when we were shooting a couple of scenes.
Oh shit.
Larnell probably doesn't remember that. I also fought Larnell like a side music video type of a thing Snoop Dogg had going on, but someone else was running that. That was like in 2011. In 2012, I released a short film online with Mickey Facinello and Amy Johnston.
Mickey did stunts for the show Into the Badlands.
Into the Badlands, Black Widow. She's
very recognizable in Into the Badlands. Towards the end of the first season, she's one of the monks.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Arguably one of the greatest female performers of
I
our
used
time.
to have the biggest crush on her. I was like, back in the day, I'm like, oh, you're still with that dude.
With Brendan.
With Brendan, yeah. I used to have the biggest crush on her. But because martial arts chicks in general, it's like when you're in that arena, you're like, oh my God.
That's what it is, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. When you're a martial artist and you see a girl doing martial arts, not trying to, but actually doing it.
Executing it like a badass.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're in love.
Exactly.
You want to have martial arts babies.
Exactly.
That's it. A dynasty.
Exactly.
That's just down the street. But that short got all of us recognized.
Yeah.
And we all started to receive phone calls for work.
Oh shit.
Larnell called me that morning and let me know that, he might have something coming up.
Okay.
And that was in 2012. In 2013, Larnell was able to hire me.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
That's wild. I actually I just got hit with flashbacks. I've known Larnell over 20 years. Wow. Over 20 years. I worked with him when I was a kid. Between Sultan and Minnal Murali. Did you work on any other Indian films?
Yes, I'm going to try to remember them all. We prepped and designed the final fight between the two brothers in Bahubali 2.
With, what's his name?
Prabhas. Prabhas?
With Prabhas, but no, the Asian dude who worked on it. He used to date Pepe. You know what I'm talking about. You know who I'm talking about. Come on.
Jimmy Choo?
Jimmy Choo, thank you.
I love you, Jimmy Choo. I love you so much.
The last time I saw Jimmy Choo was at a stunt party in North Hollywood. And I just remember he was going on to, big shit. Yeah.
Jimmy Choo is so in demand. I try to bring them on a significant amount of projects.
Yeah.
But I'm just very grateful to see my friends that continue to do it succeed.
Yeah. Did you bring Jimmy on to Bahubali 2? Or
there were a couple of things happening for Bahubali 2.
Okay.
The director hired 2 stunt teams to design the finale.
Wow.
Because we were in India with Larnell and Sultan, he reached out to Larnell. So it was our core team. And then Brad Allen was also reached out to.
Oh, shit. Okay.
So he had a previs from Chris Cohen and the team.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So it was Brendan, Chris Cohen, Jimmy Choo.
Wow.
You got to talk to Chris to see if they can.
I've never met Chris Cohen. I've never met him. I just know him through Travis Wong.
Wonderful human being.
And so... Well, that's great. Well, Brad Allen, rest in peace. That's wild. So you weren't part of Brad Allen's team. You were part of Larnell's team.
No,
okay.
We had a very small amount of time to go ahead and shoot our previs. I think the other guys had some more time, but it was my understanding the director essentially had 4 versions of the finale.
Shit.
For Bahubali 2. And the reason being is because the first one was pirated. So in case,
Oh, wow.
in case the movie leaked out,
Yeah.
he would have an alternate finale, which is smart. I hope that one day, you know, they release the other 3 versions of the movie. It'd be nice. But if you take a look at those previses, in my previs reel on youtube.com/VJVlad.
Oh, we'll put all that stuff, dude. We'll put all
Hell
that
yeah.
stuff.
On my previous reel, you see some side-by-side footage. So what the director did was, when the action team wasn't there, because I believe Lee Whitaker is the one that actually ran the show.
Okay, I don't know Lee.
He coordinates a significant amount of movies in India, and he's US based. They follow the previs almost shot for shot.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Like, it's 95% similar to the previous shot.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
okay.
But Minnal Murali is what brought you here today. How did you get paired up with that film?
I received an email
Okay.
from someone stating that they're making a superhero film. I swear to God, I thought it was a scam.
Okay. Okay. All right.
So I responded, and the conversations kept going, and eventually I got some storyboards.
Okay.
And they were done by Pavi Sankar, and they were amazing. And then from there, the conversations just kept going and going. And eventually we got to a stage where we were prepping the climatic fight and another action sequence that takes place in the movie.
I've only gotten a handful of bits of information about the movie because like there's like a teaser and then like a teaser with the behind the scenes. Are you allowed to tell us anything at this juncture, at this point in time, about the film that we don't already know?
Just to be safe, I'll probably say no, but if you ask me questions,
Okay.
that might be a way to kind of work around it, where I can respond.
Okay, so what kind of action are we going to see in this film that we have yet to see in Indian cinema and we have yet to see in American cinema, if there is anything that's brand new?
When you watch a superhero movie coming out from the States,
Okay.
there is a lot of CG elements involved.
Okay.
A significant amount. We can 100%, I think, agree that most of it is shot on a green screen.
Yes.
Okay. The difference between Minnal Murali and these kinds of cinemas is that these kinds of cinemas, the reality complements the CG.
Okay, gotcha.
If that makes any sense, right? The CG, the realistic elements complement the CG because we are in a CG world. Everything's green screen. Whereas in Minnal Murali, the CG complements the reality. So it's different in that respect. We tried to stay as practical as we could with the action sequences.
Was that a choice from like their end, or was that you?
You could say that was a combined choice, and the reason I say combined is because I was given a particular kind of budget and time frame.
That's what I figured, yeah.
And I was also given a story, and we had to keep things within the context of the story.
Gotcha.
And of the budget.
Gotcha.
Also, we were given locations. I was never told, hey, we're going to shoot on the green screen. I'm all like, okay, that's going to be a lot of fun. It's like, no, you guys are going to be shooting in this kind of a scenario, and it's going to be hot, long nights. That's all I can say. Hot, long nights. And then days, of course.
Yeah. Did you bring any like Jackie Chan-isms to the fight? And before I forget the other question, is this comparable to something like Daredevil or Luke Cage in the way that the fight is presented in terms of how the action is presented? Because you're saying about the limitation of like, we're not green screen, we're just more like on set and CGI is complementing it. So I immediately think of stuff like Marvel's Luke Cage, Marvel's Daredevil. Two very different questions.
Well, when we talk about the style of action, it's number one, what I was able to bring to the table, knowing the kind of talent I had. India still has a lot of opportunities for its talent to grow and become really, 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 really good. And that implies a lot of things about Indian talent.
Yeah.
Now, I was very fortunate to work with a great team. Number one, the two assistants working with me, Santosh and Kalai.
Okay.
Santosh was able to understand what it is I was looking from the performers.
Okay.
He just understood right away what was in my head.
Yeah.
Because many times it's not necessarily a kind of move, but it's the way of performing that move.
Yeah.
So he and I would get together in front of the performer and act out those beats. I'm like, hell yeah, Santosh, you understand. Kalai is one of the most in-demand riggers there is. And then we had our double Balaji. This guy went so hard.
Okay.
Like 3,000, not over 9,000. You know, he would just knock himself out, and I told him not to do that. But he went hard. And when we talk about Jackie Chan style fights, not necessarily the comedic element, but it's more about those heavy hitting stunts.
Okay, gotcha.
So the guys that were brought in, you know, when you're working with me, you're gonna get hit.
Yeah.
It's like you're either gonna get hit or you're gonna go to the ground. So everyone has an option.
Yeah.
And the guys got hit, they went to the ground. There's a lot of hard hitting action in that respect. I paid an homage to Sammo Hung's style of comedy.
Okay.
So there may be something of that nature,
Okay.
like a comedic fight. But the finale, I would say it's probably nothing like we've seen before.
Oh shit. Okay.
I'm not like, oh, it's the most amazing thing in the world. That's for the audience to decide, and I really hope you guys think that it's the most amazing thing in the world.
Yeah.
But the elements that we got to play with,
Mm-hmm.
and also remembering that our hero is a new hero, and this is something that people forget. It's like, oh, I become a superhero. Now I know a crap load of martial arts and I can fight really well and my punches look clean and my kicks look clean. I'm all like, wow. So not only did your DNA change, but suddenly you became Neo from the Matrix,
Right,
you know,
right.
from that. But it doesn't work that way.
Right.
One thing I got to do with the director Basil Joseph was sit down and try to analyze these characters and what's happening with them. And what have they gone through and how much training have they done by this point? Like at this fight, what do they know? What don't they know? What can they do? What can't they do?
Yeah.
So I had to keep that in mind. And also I'm not going to make my actors do stuff like a spinning hook kick when they can't throw a round kick or a front kick. You see that so many times on television and on movies. I want my actress to throw this kick. Yeah, but she looks like shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Her
Yeah.
hands are all, even males, I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like get them to do something good and then work on that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But with the finale, again, it's very different. There are moments of superhero fights that we've seen, but I try to present it differently. It's like, you know, saying here's a front kick and choreography. How are you going to make that look different?
Yeah.
So the finale is the most different thing one has seen. My last finale that I was super excited about was from an indie feature that we did with Sam Hargrave and all these cats like Andy Lee, who's part of Shang-Chi. Yes, it was called
Damn.
Unlucky Stars.
That kid, man, he just like boom, this out of fucking
Yes.
nowhere.
Good
Like,
for him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good for
Yeah.
him.
Because go ahead.
So we did a movie called Unlucky Stars, and Dennis and I sat down and we watched the finale.
Unlucky Stars, by the way, that's an homage to Jackie Chan in terms of the title.
And
Yeah.
you can watch the entire movie for free on my YouTube channel.
Okay, cool.
Hell yeah. So we sat down and we were watching it.
Yeah.
And I watched it for weeks and weeks and weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Minnal Murali is a second time I can't stop watching a finale.
Oh wow. Okay.
So it's been 10 years, and I'm very, very proud of everyone's work.
Oh, wow.
A lot of hard work went into that. We had 14 days to shoot it. We got it done in 12. Tovino Thomas and Guru Somasundaram, they worked their butts off.
Yeah.
Tovino did take after take after take because there was no prep time. And I want to thank his trainer Ali for getting him into like superhuman shape.
Now you were talking about the stunt double like really going all out, balls to the wall. My understanding from the people I've spoken to, both from Indian cinema and friends over here who have worked in Indian cinema, like Tamiko Brownlee and Elizabeth Carpenter, both have done stunts over there. According to Elizabeth Carpenter, it's really hardcore over there. Like over here, we're padded, a lot more prep, like it's a lot more careful because we don't want people to get hurt. But I spoke to Vicky Kaushal, who's a big star in India now, and his dad is a stunt coordinator, and he was working with his dad, and he's like, "Where's my pads?" And his dad was like, "Do you see anyone else with pads?" He's like, "No." So come on, get in there.
There's still some cowboy mentality
Yeah.
in India. The old school coordinators are very hardcore.
Yeah.
But I think, again, India's cinema is evolving and having the freedom to go online, YouTube, and check out other fight scenes. I was surprised, like, they knew a lot of fight sequences in India, the stunt boys from all over the world, because they sit down and they watch,
Yeah.
they research. It's their homework. It's part of their career.
Yeah.
But with the old timers, there are many older coordinators, they don't want to previs. You want to stick with doing things the way you want to, but you don't realize, like, if someone gets hurt, they can't work.
Yeah, that's true.
If your actor gets hurt, they can't work.
Yeah.
And on Minnal Murali, there were some actors that were like, I'm going to do it. And I'm like, no, you're not. You're going to get padded up. I'm going to do it. I don't want to pad up. And after the first take, I'm going to put on the pad. I'm like, I told you.
Yeah.
I told you we could be saving time.
Yeah.
But it's just that old school mentality in general. Everyone has it. Even cultures, the way they think about things. European cultures, you got to come to the States and get an education.
Yeah.
That's the number one priority, education. And
Yeah.
it's like, oh, I work in movies and I make a lot more money.
Yeah.
And, things like that.
Yeah. There's a third door.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I do feel like that transition's been slowly happening.
Okay.
We're safety first. I mean, on our set for Minnal Murali, it was safety, because we were doing things that Indian cinema has never done before.
Now, a while back, I'm sure you've watched it many, many times more than I have. I watched Jackie Chan My Stunts, the DVD, which made the rounds. And one of the things I learned in there is that Jackie Chan loves to use wires to enhance the stunt. Did you get to implement any of that through any of your work in Indian cinema so far?
Oh, absolutely. Even on Brothers, we had Conan, our 6'7" gentle giant. He push kicked one of the Indian performers.
Okay.
so we yanked them back.
Oh shit.
You know, I think working in the industry has allowed me to really enjoy wire work more.
Okay.
But I still don't want to do like wuxia style wire work where people are just flying for no reason.
Right.
I love the hand pulls. I love things that look a lot more real and natural. But it's also fun, you know, spinning someone in the air.
Okay.
But I like to be more grounded.
Okay.
In that respect.
Are there any action stars from India that you're excited to work with or that you might be working with soon? Like the first three that pop into my head are Tiger Shroff, Vijay Jamal, and John Abraham, because they have done a lot of action. I know Akshay Kumar used to do a lot of martial arts action, but he's mostly gone towards the patriotic, dramatic films. So
yeah. Well, if Akshay ever gets back into it, every time I visit Mumbai, he and I try to get together.
Oh shit. Okay.
So you just have a little training session and this and that,
okay.
you know. But hey, if there's an opportunity, I'd love to be able to work with him.
Okay.
The amount of dedication that man brings.
Oh shit. Okay.
And the kind of work ethic he has. He's the first one on set. He's there an hour early, and he gives you everything you want.
Okay.
Everything you want.
Okay.
So I'd love to do that again,
all right,
if the opportunity allows for it. Tiger Shroff is the next action star of India. And then there's Vijay Jamal, but I'm not going to mess with Andy Long. Okay. I love you, Andy. I'm not stepping on your territory.
Okay.
Because Andy Long has been Vijay Jamal's action director.
What has Andy Long worked on? Like, I know that
He's
name.
part of the Jackie Chan stunt team. Andreas Wuyen. He just had his movie released on Amazon.
I was thinking of Andy Chang.
No,
I don't know Andy Long. Okay.
Andy Long, yeah. He's also someone from the indie world.
Okay.
In 2010, he flew to the United States, I want to say for like 5 months, and traveled all over the US and just shot with indie groups.
Oh, wow.
And then he stayed with me for like 3 to 4 weeks.
Oh, wow. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. So have you met Tiger?
Yes, actually, I'm going to take that back. I did meet Tiger when we were shooting Brothers before Tiger did his first movie.
Okay.
But I was busy running set. The other guys met him.
Okay, gotcha.
And I'm just running around in the ring, organizing everything.
Okay.
I was reached out to do a knife fight in war.
Oh, what?
Yes.
But you didn't do it?
No, it's not that I didn't do it. The scene was dropped.
Oh, shit, okay.
Yeah, the scene was dropped from the movie.
They needed some Vlad in that movie.
Listen, if we can we be honest?
Yeah.
Can we be honest? There were 5 different action directors on that movie, and I think anyone that loves action could tell that it was a little bit chaotic.
Yeah,
Yes. That's a nice way of putting it.
Yeah.
It'd just be nice to not have that kind of chaos.
Yeah.
But also, I get it. Indian cinema is done in a particular way where Hrithik Roshan can come on screen. It's like,
Yeah.
you know, you can do that. Those are the Fast and Furious movies.
Right.
I don't mind doing those.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I could really tap into Tiger's potential.
Yes.
And show him off the way I think he needs to be shown off. Push him to that stage where it's like, I told Tovino Thomas, you're going to love me and you're going to hate me.
Yeah.
I want everyone to love me and hate me.
You're speaking to my heart right now, because I've been watching Tiger Shroff for a while, and I'm like, this guy's dope, but I don't think he's gotten the right vehicle yet. I don't think he's been expressed in the most optimal way possible yet. I feel like if you guys work together, that shit would be explosive as hell.
I would think so, yes.
Yeah.
He moves quite well. He has an understanding of choreography.
Yeah.
And performing.
Yeah.
And I think we could do some wonderful things together.
All right. Dude, this has been a lot of fun for me. It's been great catching up with you, and it's been educational, to say the least, in terms of like everything going on in Indian cinema in an area that I've been extremely curious about, but largely ignorant on, funny enough. I've only learned like through short conversations with friends. Like, this is the longest conversation with any friend I've had about what's going on over there, because everything is always just like quick bursts with like, oh, we could talk for 20 minutes about Indian cinema. What's it like? Okay, I gotta go by. It's like, this has been fun to like really deep dive into all this stuff. And so you're welcome back to the channel anytime that you want to, like, you know, show something or promote something. I'm happy to have you back, or even to just do reaction videos to action stuff if you have the time.
Absolutely.
Happy to have you back just to hang out and do this kind of thing, man, because like you have so much knowledge. You are the passion that you exhibit is very unique, and I appreciate that about you. I always have, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of what you do, both here in the States and in Indian cinema.
Thank you very much.
Cool. So you guys make sure to follow Vlad on his YouTube and on his social media to get more, and looking forward to Minnal Murali. I'm gonna mess up the name. Minnal Murali. I'm looking forward to watching that and seeing what you brought to Indian cinema, dude. So thanks so much for hanging out. I'm Jaby This is Vlad. Make sure you follow him. Peace out.